Okay, well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Everfi demonstration. I'd like to welcome Jacob here from Everfi, and he's got a few amazing resources to share with Saskatchewan teachers, specifically related to their modules and how they relate to our newly developed Financial Literacy 10 curriculum. So welcome, Jacob.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here today. I'm going to run you through how to get your Everfi account created, how to set up your Everfi classes. I'll dive into the resources for you so you can take a look at them, and then I'll share some curriculum alignment with you. So first things first, when you might think this looks awesome, how do I use it with my class? The first thing you'll do is visit everfi.com/new teacher. I can send through this quick start guide as well, and you can have that linked to your resource bank or wherever this may live. So we'll go to everfi.com/new teacher. I just clicked on that. I'll select my country in Canada. I'll select my province. I will find my school that I'm associated with. So let's take a look here. We'll do this school here. Oh. And then I will click the next button. From there, I'll enter my name, some topics that may interest you. We have more than financial literacy, but for the sake of today, we'll just focus on financial education. Which grades you teach. So I'm going to be teaching grade 10 and 11. I'll enter an email address. I'll create a password. And then I will click that little box and I will click create account. Now, the best thing about Everfi is it's free for you to use and free for all Saskatchewan teachers. So there's no costs associated with it. So here is our teacher dashboard. You'll see here that the first thing that pops up is our Financial Literacy for High School collection. Now, in this collection, there's a series of different resources that pair really well together to address provincial curriculum and provide an enhanced learning experience for your students. So the first thing we'll do is we'll click on this button, View Collection. We'll go through a little bit of the content to see what is available. There are 6 different resources. So if I scroll down, here are the 6 resources that we have. The first one is called Everfi Financial Literacy for High School. That's more of a foundations-based resource. We then have a marketplaces investing resource. This resource here is by far our most popular across the country. Students are absolutely loving this one, and teachers as well. They're super engaged in it. There's a Mining Your Money Skills for Life resource here, which talks about financial stages of our lives and also the relationship between mental health and money. Looking down to the bottom left here, Venture is an entrepreneurship resource. This one is also really engaging for your students. They'll manage their own food truck simulation business, which is amazing. They'll create a business pitch, a business plan, choose exactly what they want to sell, what food they want to sell, and work through that resource. There's then a crypto foundations resource that talks about what cryptocurrency is, the foundations of cryptocurrency, the blockchain, and different things like that. And then there's an economics foundations resource for high schools. They're our 6 different resources. You might think, great, how do I find out more about these? So what you'll do is you'll click on the details button. I will highlight this marketplaces resource as this is, as I said, our most popular resource for Canadian teachers. On the details button, there are a few different things. There's a preview button up here where you can preview what the resource looks like for your students. As a teacher, you'll also be able to access lesson plans for each of the online modules. There's also an assessment key, so you can see exactly what your students are going to be asked in their pre-assessment and post-assessment. There's a curriculum guide as well. And if I click on this resources button here, there's a course crosswalk document, a course outline, a glossary of terms, and then also a Pear Deck and a Kahoot that you can use to introduce the topics to your students. Finally, there are a range of student activity and worksheets that you can use to enhance the online part of the resource. So there's online and offline resources. So first thing, let's take a look at the course outline doc. I click on that. This just gives you a bit of an understanding of the content that will be covered in each of the online modules. So the first module talks about the Toronto Stock Exchange. So we'll learn about the stock exchange's role in the global economy. The learning objectives are understanding how the stock exchange functions, how stock exchanges have changed over time, and then evaluating how major events impact various industries. So you can see there's a content outline for each of the 5 modules. Moving back to my page here, let's take a look at some of the student activities. So let's take a look at the activity for the stock exchange. So in this particular activity, students are going to be asked to review a public company and look at some different questions, and so the company's advantage, what are the company's competitors, what are some of the company's financial performances, how it's been profitable or how profitable the company's been over time. So there's a range of different, I guess, offline lessons that you can use to strengthen the online teaching.
So those are nice printables that teachers can grab and use offline, like you said, to add extra activities more so, and in addition to the online modules here.
Exactly. Let's take a look at one of the lesson plans as well. So if you open this up, you'll see that there is a discussion guide, there's an activity, there's an exit ticket, and then there's some space for notes to put down. So that will help you introduce the online materials to your students. Should we take a look at what the online piece looks like, Cindy?
Yeah, let's tour around and show teachers what it looks like the students would see. So that preview button's important. I didn't see that before, but that's a nice spot for them to see what the kids see, the students see.
So if I click on preview here, what this will do is it will open up the 5 different modules that the students will undertake. You can see in each of the module, there's a range of characters. So all of these resources are scenario based, where students will go through a little bit of a story. They'll try and see themselves in some of the stories, which is great. So there's a whole range of storylines and immersive, I guess, immersive, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Experience, like it's experiential
That's
kind of.
exactly it.
Yeah.
That's the exact word I'm looking for. So the first lesson here talks about the stock exchange. So in this particular module, Salem is gifted some stock for her 18th birthday. So she wants to learn more about the stock exchange. So we'll give a brief introduction on what the Toronto Stock Exchange is and how significant it is to the Canadian economy. It is the largest exchange in Canada and one of the leading exchanges in the world for mining and energy stocks. So we'll have to help Salem throughout this, decide what she's going to do with that stock that she's been given for her 18th birthday. Now, in each different module, so as I said, there's 5 modules to the marketplaces resource. Students will go through a pre-assessment. They'll then go through the module, and then they'll get posed with a post-assessment. As the teacher, it's really nice. You can track your students' progress for the pre-assessment and post-assessment under this gradebook tab here, which I'll show you a little bit later on. But this is obviously the first module. It goes for about 15 to 20 minutes there. Once students have worked their way through the different modules, I really want to highlight this investment game. I've been in the classroom for over the last year or two with this resource, showing teachers and students, and I've never seen students so engaged in financial literacy than they have been in this investment game. The goal of this is students are going to need to make $1 million by the time they retire, which is really, really cool. We'll skip along here. Obviously, there's narration going along over the top. So the goal of this game is to get to $1 million by age 72. There's a progress bar at the top that tells you how you're going and how your investments are going throughout your lifetime. There's a range of data. There's a time horizon where we'll fast forward 6 years at a time so we can see how our portfolio is growing. And then finally, we can check out our investment portfolio. So I'll dive into it just for the sake of seeing it. So we've just turned 18. We have $1,000 to make our first purchase. So we'll click on next here. We're going to check out what we're going to invest in. So we can choose a high growth equity fund that has above average risk. The students would have learnt about all of this throughout the 4 previous modules. It gives obviously examples of some major fund holdings, so Shopify, OpenText, Lululemon. We then have top tier growth, so some major fundings include RBC, Dominion, Canadian Pacific Railways, and Enbridge.
Thank you for showing that because I see the Canadian companies are in there too. So the students are not just buying US, we're buying Canadian firms. So that's nice to see.
We are. And then diversified total stock funds include TD, Suncor Energy, and Scotiabank. So let's choose to buy some of our high growth equity fund because I love Lululemon and that's something that I'm going to invest in. So we've just purchased some HGRO here. Let's fast forward 6 years to see how it's grown. Nice. I've gained to date a total of $2,121 in my portfolio over those 6 years. So as you can see, throughout lifetime, students are going to be posed with different investment opportunities. Obviously, they don't all just grow. There'll be some there'll be some that will grow, some that will lose over time. Students will work that out. But you can imagine this in a classroom. There's a lot of competition going on between students to kind of work out what's going to grow and who can have the most money by the time they're kind of age 72. Any questions about any of that, Cindy, whilst we're here?
Well, I just see just one of the principles that you had highlighted before the teachers can look at. It gets the students to go through each stage of life and duck and write out how much it was worth and so track that. And I think the notion of long-term investing is good here because the stock market, sometimes people think it's a day-by-day thing, but there's a look at the long-term investing in this game, which is important for students to realize that it's not just how much can I make in a day or a month, and that day trading, that's very in the news for people to invest. So it's a good look at longer term. Do you
Awesome.
want to show us maybe the teacher dashboard, and then we can look at that to see how teachers would see what the students are doing and track that?
Of course. So here obviously is the dashboard. You might think, great, I want my students to have all of these financial literacy resources. So what you would do is you would click on this add to class button. So if I click on add to class here, it loads it up. So the class that I want to do it is going to be grade 10 Fin Lit. We might start this month. I'm thinking that we'll start it in February. There's 15 students in my class and they are in grade 10. Now, I'm going to add all of the resources in the collection. As the teacher, you do have the ability to lock and unlock certain resources. So so your students don't have to see everything. You might want to save this foundations course for April when it's in your scope and sequence or in your outcomes. So you can lock that. And then once April rolls around, you can unlock it for your students to complete. So I'll click on create class. I've now created my class. So this will tell you how to get your students started. I will click on this share registration code button. I will then direct my students to visit this website here, everfi.com/students. Once they get there, they'll enter this code and create a username and a password that they can use to continuously log into Everfi. And then they will be linked to my class. They'll be linked to my class through this unique code. So that's how we get our students set up. You'll also be able to find the code at any time by clicking on the registration code button under your class tab. So there that is. We can see that we've opened up these 5 resources for our students to see. At first, I'll direct my students to complete the investing resource. Once your students have kind of set up their student accounts through that code, you'll be able to see them listed under the student tab here. And then that will be a way that you can change their usernames, reset their passwords. Often students forget their passwords for things or forget their username. So you have the ability to monitor all of that. And then this gradebook tab is my favorite piece. It's where we can select a certain resource and you'll see your students' names, you'll see their login, you'll see how they did out of 100 for each particular resource. And then you'll also see which questions they got right and which questions they got wrong. So you'll be able to identify trends to see if it's a common trend that students are getting the same answer wrong, to be able to track that and use that to inform your teaching.
Would you be
Coming
able to
back,
show us the, oh, sorry, I was just going to
go
ask
ahead.
if you'd be able to show us the correlation between the curriculum correlations now, if we could look at that, and then we'll come back to maybe some final thoughts.
Of course. Yeah. So we've mapped a couple of our resources so far to the Financial Literacy 10 resource. We are trying to map them all. We're just kind of started with the Minding Your Money Skills for Life. So we can see here that Financial Literacy 10.1, Financial Literacy 10.2, 10.6, and 10.10 are aligned to these particular modules from the Minding Your Money resource, which is awesome for FinLit 10. And then for our marketplaces resource, we can see we're aligned to 10.3 and 10.7 for these particular resources. So yeah, we've mapped that so far. We are looking at mapping all of our resources to 10, 20, and 30. We've got that in the queue to come throughout the school year.
I'm just wondering, Jacob, about timeline. Like, how long would these courses take? Oh, there's a duration there. I see 10 hours, 20 minutes for a teacher to use to supplement. Yeah.
Yeah, that is for all of them. If we click on the view collection button, you'll be able to see by clicking on details again, we can see that the online portion for marketplaces is about an hour and 20 minutes worth of online content there. So you can check out the duration for each of them. Let's have a look at the Everfi Financial Literacy. Here, there's 5 to 7 hours of online content that students can complete. On this dashboard too, we know that some things might not go the way that they're supposed to. So you can always click on this support tab here. You can get connected to our support center, K12 support at everfi.com. That is a real person that will get back to you to help you out. You can also connect to our technical support center. And if you are a French immersion teacher, you do have the ability to change the language of the dashboard to French. And we do have our marketplaces resource that has been translated. So that is available in French for your students as well. And then finally, we can check out our profile, change our passwords and logins if we need to. Not finally, actually. And then there's a refer a colleague button. If you're really enjoying this and you think, wow, I want all of my other teachers to use this with their classes, if you click on this refer a colleague button and refer a teacher, that teacher then uses one of the resources with their students, you'll actually qualify for a $15 Amazon gift card, which can be used as a classroom donation. So that's a little bit of a referral campaign that we've got going on at the moment that you can get a gift card to quite easily, which is kind of nice. Any kind of final thoughts here, Cindy? I know we've kind of covered
Just
a lot of content.
Yeah, I think it's a great resource for teachers to use. The investment one especially, get students learning about investing. Can you just show one last thing quick? We got about a few minutes left here. So the initial one, the minding your money, so it correlates to the first couple. Um, yeah, that one I think is a good one for teachers to see as well, because it even just the preview to show them what they see for the first couple units of our curriculum.
Yeah, let's click on that. Brings up a note about audio. So in this one, there's 4 different modules. They are it's a shorter kind of course. Each of these modules only go for about 15 minutes. The first one will look at the financial stages of our life. The second one looks at understanding our financial values. The third one, the correlation between mental health and money. And the fourth one, money and our relationships. So looking at the curriculum guide for that one, lesson 1 hits 10.6, lesson 2 hits 10.1, lesson 3 hits 10.2. So there are some correlations between the curriculum and this particular resource, which is back over here. If I click on start there, you'll see there's narration obviously going over the top for accessibility. So the students don't just have to read it, they'll hear the words over the top. So it talks about financial goals more than anything. Maybe we're saving money for college. Let's look at the different financial stages of our life. So we'll meet Gabriel. Gabriel wants to go to a trip to Miami. Let's look at the different financial stages. So Carmen wants to talk about it. Gabriel thinks maybe it's not a smart idea because we're just starting school right now. And then Carmen is in one of the first stages of life in education and training, which will help her prepare for whatever comes next. So talks a little bit about saving and dreams and goals and looking at, our financial stages.
I think what I like about it too is the scenarios they show, so students can see themselves in the characters. It's not just talking the technical terms and content. It's actually scenarios our students might face in their future.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's the Minding Your Money resource. As I mentioned, super simple to get started. All you'll need to do is go to that everfi.com/new teacher. Create a teacher account. Takes about 5 minutes. If you can't figure that out or you need help, we can do it for you. Go to email us at k12support@everfi.com and we are more than happy to help. We see there's great value in these resources to be able to set up. As I mentioned, they're free, which is even better, and we've got a great partnership going on with the teachers of Saskatchewan.
Wonderful. And I think it's kind of neat. I think the students get a certificate at the end, right? When they're done. I mean, it's something small, but it's to say that they've taken this financial literacy training. They can add it to their portfolio. And I think it really supports what we're teaching. And you can use it at the beginning of a unit or at the end of a unit, or to pass some time on a Friday or a sub day if you want students to get good quality instruction while you're away, or just something to wrap up the units. I think it's a fun tool and a useful tool, and kids like to interact with gamify kind of scenario-based learning and experiential type learning. So the investment game at the end of Market Watch is also very useful to lead students into learning about long-term investing. So I think overall it's a great resource that I hope our students will consider using. And any final thoughts from you before we wrap up the demo?
No, more than anything, happy to help anyone. And as you mentioned, there's over 10 hours of content, so great for all those scenarios and different ways you can use it in the classroom.
Great, wonderful. Well, thanks, Jacob. And I guess if teachers need help to reach out to myself or your email as well. I guess I only wondered if there's a school missing perhaps on the list or something, if teachers couldn't find themselves in the list, that we can set that up for them as well to make it happen. So,
We can just email us and we can add your school to our list. If you want to get started straight away, just choose another school in the division and get that started. And then whilst we can change you over. So yeah, that's awesome.
okay, wonderful. Well, thanks, Jacob, and talk to you later. I'll stop recording and share this with our teachers.
Thank you.